Good afternoon. Another week, another database. And today we get to explore one of my favorite databases that I've utilized while studying at Liberty. It is titled America, History and Life with Full Text. This database includes coverage of many books and journals in regard to early American history to all the way to the present times of American history. It offers full text for each of these. It's easy to use and always manages to provide valuable sources. So let's get started with my research on Vietnam veterans in this database. I love with this database that you can break down not only publication dates, but also historical period date for time periods you are researching. It also includes a check for peer review journals, so you know which sources will be the most accurate and valuable sources as you're looking through. The first article I looked at was titled Healing Journeys, Veterans, Trauma, and the Return to Vietnam by Mia Martin Hobbs, which was published in the Journal of American History in 2023. I appreciate that this is a fairly recent source, and you'll find that a lot throughout this database. This work examines Vietnam veterans who returned from Vietnam in 1981 to the mid-2010. And explores these healing journeys. So these veterans had served in Vietnam and then later returned on these healing journeys. And I've always found it interesting in my discussions with Vietnam veterans about their emotions and feelings if they returned to Vietnam, where the fighting and a lot of the trauma occurred. And so I thought this was a really, really unique and interesting article on that topic. The next article also took a very unique view into Vietnam veterans. This article is titled Disgust and Disgrace, Cultural Evangelicals' Reaction to Jimmy Carter's Draft, Evader Pardon, and Early Memory of the Vietnam War in Texas. It was published in the Journal of Church and State in 2024 by David Naninga. So once again, another very recent source, an article. I enjoy this article for two reasons. The first being that I've always enjoyed learning about how Vietnam veterans from specific parts of the country or states of the United States adapted to the return from war. So I appreciated the detailed examination of Vietnam War veterans from Texas. Secondly, this offered a Christian view into the Vietnam War. It's not always easy to find sources on Vietnam War veterans, or really any war for that matter, that have a faith-based research component to it. So this was really valuable in looking at how people felt about Jimmy Carter pardoning those who evaded the draft, specifically veterans who were drafted and did serve. The next article I looked at was vastly different from the first two as well. It is titled My Daughter Was Genetically Drafted with Me by Leslie J. Reagan, which was published in Gender and History. This was very interesting because it talked about the effects that Agent Orange has had on the children of Vietnam veterans. Personally, this was interesting for me because my father, he passed away at the age of 51 from multiple myeloma. And he was actually part of a research study at Emory University for cancer in the descendants of veterans. My grandfather was heavily exposed to Agent Orange, and they do suspect that it potentially was a contributing factor to my father's cancer. Most people who are diagnosed with multiple myeloma, they do not get the cancer so early. So at the very least, they are thinking it may have triggered it to be active at an earlier age. So once again, this article was really interesting for me personally because it really talked about the effects that Agent Orange had on the descendants of Vietnam veterans. So like I mentioned, America, History and Life of Full Text is one of my favorite databases. It offers such unique and articles and stories pertaining to topics. I feel as though every time I use this database, I find something that I've never heard about before. And I love how it feels groundbreaking and is regularly updated with new sources. These three very different articles that I was able to find on my topic are a great example of this. And I hope you enjoyed learning more about it. I look forward to speaking with all of you next time.